Hi, Enzo. Thank you so much for joining me on the Well Vegan Travel podcast.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. Hi.
Fantastic. Now, I was really pleased to make a connection with you because you're doing something that's very interesting. It's not a specifically vegan travel experience, but the experience is vegan, and that is photography retreats in Italy. And we're going to talk more about where they are and what people experience later on. But I'd love it if you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit about your career and what it is that you have done that allows you to run these retreats, because I'm sure it requires a lot of expert skill and knowledge to do it.
I am a photographer and I've been working, it's actually 25 years that I'm a photographer, and I've been working mainly with magazines. All these glossy magazines like Vanity Fair, Roma Vogue, the Time magazine, all those magazines. And I've been doing celebrities and travels and fashion. And I really enjoy my job. But at a certain point, I decided I wanted to share it. And so I started teaching, and I've been teaching in different parts of Italy, also not in Italy. This place where I teach now is in Tuscany, and it's a beautiful place. And it's 12 years I teach there. For me, what I learned in years of working with magazines and having to take pictures with a very little time, maybe with very difficult subjects, what we do is not really something very technical. Like, I don't teach how to use your camera, but I teach more how to deal with what you have to do, how to deal with people, with difficult people, or how to deal with your own limits when you feel uncomfortable or when you feel under stressed, all these things. We do a lot of things, and food is vegan. Actually, it's very funny because the first time that I was teaching on Como Lake, and food was not vegan, but I ordered vegan food. And because I was the teacher, everyone found it incredibly interesting and so special. So everyone wanted to eat vegan because I was eating vegan. At the end, it was a big mess because people were uncomfortable because I had something special that looked fresh and really tasty. So the next retreat, I was asking to do vegan options, and they misunderstood and they did everything totally vegan. I was really happy, but people coming to my retreats are not vegan. So 12 years ago, I was a bit embarrassed. I thought, oh my God, some people are going to complain. And they found it so good and something special of my retreat. And so from then on, it has always been vegan. And now it's more openly vegan because after the retreat, I sent to everyone an email saying, since we've been eating this way during those days, we save this much water, this much forest, and that many animals. And now I wouldn't go back at all. I wouldn't go back to do something mixed because no, I would feel very uncomfortable to organize something that also serves meat. But back
Mm.
then, the first time, it was different.
But you've been vegan for quite a long time, right? So, how did that all come to pass? Was it in Italy that you made this switch? Maybe somewhere else? Tell us a little bit about how that journey has been for you.
Yeah, I was already vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for a long time. But at a certain point, I saw being vegetarian is okay, but I want to be vegan. And that was 40 years ago, 40. And it was very strange. I was a very strange person. No one knew what veganism was. I was going very often to London, and that's where I met a lot of vegans. And actually, I met them after I became vegan. And I was very happy because I thought, wait, there is someone that is like me. So it was like a big discovery. Figure out when I became vegan in Italian, in our language, there was not a word for veganism. There was
Mhm.
something that was maybe, but the word vegano didn't exist.
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that because there are still many languages in the world that don't have the word for vegan, which means when you travel there, it can be really hard. It's not in the dictionary. So you have to really explain. And it's only recently in France, because vegetarian
Yeah.
used to be the word for vegan,
Yeah.
but now it's vegan. So everyone understands that. But in Thailand, for example, there is no word in the Thai dictionary for vegan. There are words for eating that way, but it's to do with religion. So it's not quite the same. So yeah, it's very interesting. And
Right.
I think it's changing. I think more countries or more languages are using this word and putting in the dictionary. You wouldn't think it's so important, but it actually is.
When you have a way to describe it, people can know more about it. As in French, they had vegetarian. We used to have vegetariano as well, but no one knew this word. No one knew what it meant. I'm used to say, I am strict vegetarian. That means
Right.
no animal derivatives. They said, okay, so you eat fish. Then, no, fish is an animal. I don't eat animals. So at the beginning, it was really strange because people thought I was a little bit mad. And after a while, people around me started to consider me with more respect. Like, hey, this man is doing something weird and is really into it. But also, there is another thing that was happening that I really didn't like, that people were starting checking my shoes, saying, but you have leather shoes. And I would say, no, this is not leather. Oh, you have plastic shoes. No, this is not plastic. No, this is a new material that is very breathable, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, oh, you are coherent then. And I was like,
Right.
thank you. I really needed, like your blessings. No, I do. In fact, very often I don't even say I'm vegan because I have enough and say, what do you eat? Oh, I have something. I have this. Just recently, actually, I'm saying it more often because I think it's really urgent. It's really, the word is a slaughterhouse. It's horrible. It's happening. And I think it's my responsibility, it's each one's responsibility to make the right actions.
Yeah. You now run these photography retreats that are vegan and non-vegans come to them. I just think that is so wonderful. And you always stay at the same place for your retreats. And I've looked it up and it is an absolutely beautiful property. I'm sure staying in a beautiful space really adds to the experience. Can you describe what this property is like? We're an audio podcast, so you have to put a nice picture in our listeners' minds.
It's like a hill with 4,000 olive trees on. There are no cars. There is just a little road, but no cars, and a big, huge park. And you have little houses all around the park where farmers used to live. And then there is another big house where there is a kitchen. Then there is another building where they do the olive oil because, of course, olive trees. And there is a botanical trail with a lot of weird plants because one of the ancestors of the owners used to travel a lot and bring plants from all over the world. There is a swimming pool. Wow, there are so many flowers. It's really beautiful. And the thing that is so isolated from the world in a way, it really helps because what we do, we get together and normally you have a lot of people that are very creative and they are pretty open, pretty happy to meet new people. And we have this fantastic food because I'm really very determined to let everyone have a fabulous experience. In fact, a lot of people come, they never heard about vegan food or they think that vegan food is like a salad. And then after eating there, they are in love with the food. Then they write to me and say, you know what? I turned vegan. I say, oh, good for you. It's not that I'm trying to preach or anything. It's just an example. The experience that they have, the food is so good. The retreat is not about food. It's just one of the things that happen. But the experience that they have, it's very intense, actually. And we laugh a lot. There is a lot of interaction. Yeah, and the place, every room is completely different because it's not a hotel. It's an historical house.
Yeah, of course. It's located in Tuscany near
Tuscany.
Lucca. Is that right?
It's near Viareggio. It's not far from the sea. I teach two different things. I teach workshops. They last 3 days. And in those cases, people don't leave. They just stay there. There is lessons. Or I have retreats and they last 5 days. And during those 5 days, we have lessons and then we have free time and people can go out. There are woods or you can rent a canoe and go. There are lakes. You can go and do bird watching. You can rent bicycle and go touring with a bike. But there are lots of activities that you can do, and you can go to Florence. It's an hour and a half away. It's really located in a strategic point because you can go in very many places for archaeology, history, or nature. Yeah.
Yeah, we run our trips to Tuscany. We just got back a few weeks ago from our third Tuscany trip, and
Wow.
everything everyone says about Tuscany is true. There's a reason why so many people go there, why it's so popular, because it's just so beautiful, so interesting, and the food is amazing, just wonderful. I have a little bit of experience in incorporating photography into our trips. We've had a wildlife photographer come on our trips, and even people who weren't interested in photography, seriously interested in photography, they really enjoyed it and they really loved the opportunity to level themselves in terms of their photography, even if all they've got is a phone. So I'm very curious, who are the kinds of people that are really wanting to devote the time to learning more about photography, specifically portrait photography?
I have all sorts of people. I have professional photographers that like to study with me. And I also have absolute beginners that know very little about photography. And one of the things that I know is that professional photographers, maybe they don't want to come because they say that it's not just for professionals. And then absolute beginners or photography students, they say, but maybe you're going to have a lot of professionals there. That's very funny. So one of the things that I really want to explain is that everyone is going to feel really at ease because what we do is not something technical. What we do is something that everyone can do at his own, her own pace. And that means that if you are really good with lots of lenses and technically very advanced, go for it. But if you are really a very beginner and you just know how to focus, that's totally fine. Because what we do is we work a lot on relations. It's more, how can I shoot a portrait in a way that I feel comfortable? The subject in front of me feels very comfortable and allows me to photograph something that is not just a social mask with a big smile, but is maybe a nuance of their state of mind, feeling, mood. Because normally, what makes very interesting a photograph, a portrait, is not the shape of a face, but is what let the viewer about the feeling of that person, because maybe you recognize yourself into that expression. Maybe you see something that you've never seen before. But it's not just about the shape, it's about a shape expressing the life that is in that form, the shape that is expressing how this person is feeling. That's why portraits are so interesting because when you look at a portrait, normally you are curious to see how this person is feeling, right? If a portrait is just a beautiful picture of a nice smile, it's boring. We're studying a lot of those things. So, more about the sensitivity of a photographer, more about the capacity to be attuned with the person in front of the photographer, and also the capacity to do all the things that you need to do all at once. So it's very important to be able to focus and to have to quiet your mind. So that's why we meditate. Every morning we have a very short meditation. And again, this is very good for seasoned meditators or for people that have never been meditating because it's not like a meditation retreat. It's a retreat where we also meditate. And we also have Qigong lessons. this is not something that I teach. There is another teacher that is doing that. And we do Qigong in the morning because, again, it's something that involves all your body. It's a nice way to wake up, and it's a way to learn how to focus and stay very present. I have it in the retreat because it really helps photographers. It really helps being able to take better pictures. But it also helps cooking. It also helps driving. It helps everything. So, in fact, a lot of students are writing me and saying that what I teach, it's not just helping their photography, but it's also helping them to be more present in their life. And I understand. It's not something that I'm trying actively to do, but I understand that it happens. I just teach photography, but I understand.
Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine for if you're photographing somebody who maybe isn't a natural subject and maybe feels a little bit scared or embarrassed to be photographed, it's a real skill to help them to feel at ease and comfortable, I'm guessing.
You need to learn how to do it because if you are not able to put that person in a comfortable position, it's very difficult to shoot an interesting picture. It's very difficult that that person is trusting you and it's allowing you to shoot something a bit intimate, like a little emotion, a little smile or something, which is the most interesting thing. And that's why we work a lot on that. And students are photographing each other. So it's not that they have models. And that's why when there is a big variety of people, older, people younger, it gets more interesting. And you have someone that is very shy, someone that is very outgoing, someone that is, oh yes, photograph me. They love to be in front of a camera. And other people, they are like, I don't like to be photographed. So when you have all these different people, each one has the opportunity to see how is it to photograph a shy person? How is it to photograph a very outgoing person? And then after a few days, you really have a lot of experience because you've been doing a lot of exercises. And then it's a protected environment because it's a school. You know that everyone there is open to make mistakes and you can feel, I don't know, shy. There is always my help and my support to show how to face certain things. And then when you go out of the retreat, there, when it becomes interesting because you've been learning so many things during the retreat and you can practice.
So, how many participants do you usually have on your retreats?
This varied a lot because I've had retreats with 18 or 20 people, but normally we have 10 or 12 people. And occasionally I also had less. I personally prefer when the group is bigger because there is more interaction, but also a small group can be very interesting.
Sounds lovely. And I'm very curious about what a day in the life is like. You mentioned that you start with a meditation because I'm sure you're doing a lot of exercises and encouraging people to try out strategies for various techniques.
Mhm.
So I'd love to know like what a day in the life looks like when we're on one of your retreats like this.
Yeah, when we wake up, actually, we start with Qigong and we have 20 minutes, half an hour of Qigong under the trees. It's very beautiful. It's very nice. You have all the flowers and the sun. And as you wake up, you go there with everyone. Hello, good morning. And you start doing these movements. And then after, we have fantastic breakfast. There are always cakes and I will make you the list because it's
Italy
really
loves to
good.
have cake for breakfast. That always makes me laugh.
Oh, why you don't have that? No.
To me, that is a little bit odd to have cake for breakfast. To me, that's more of a dessert.
Uh,
I've been to Italy enough to know that is very normal there, but it always makes me smile when there's lots of different cakes and tarts on an
yeah,
Italian
yeah.
continental breakfast table.
Yeah, and cereals and fruits and yogurt, soya yogurt and all. There are so many things. And so we eat a lot, I have to say. Anyway, and after that, we have meditation. It's like 15 minutes, so 15 or maximum 20 minutes of meditation. And then we talk, and then usually there is a little lecture. Then we do exercises. And during the entire day, we have exercises that people can do on their own, in couples, sometimes triads. And they do an exercise, then they come back to the main room, and then we talk. How did it go? Oh, it was very difficult for me. Oh, really? Were you the only one? Anyone else had the same experience? So actually, I know what I want to do. I know where I want to go, but it depends on how they are doing. And then I decide maybe I skip this and there is a need to do another thing, and sometimes explore things like composition, how to compose a picture, and other times to explore things more about relations or about how to be able to complete all the many different things that you have to do when you take a picture, like multitasking and be very fast and be very precise. And yeah, we do so many things. But sometimes in the evening we have a lecture. Sometimes we look at the picture, that's a selection of the picture that people have been shooting during the day. We look at them and we comment all together. It's not me saying good or bad, but everyone is saying what they feel about that. It's very interesting because we normally look at the picture of the same person photographed by different photographers. And it's amazing how each one has a different look, is a different angle. And so it's amazing how the same person can look completely different. And of course, if someone really doesn't want to be photographed, that's fine. It's not like that you need to. But many people are saying that having the experience of being photographed is really helping them then to photograph others because they know how it feels.
Right. Mm. Interesting. Interesting. And I'm guessing your retreats are taught in English. Your website is in English. So
Yeah,
that tells me that you're looking to find English speakers to come
absolutely.
on
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
retreats. So they don't need to worry about speaking Italian to join you. Is that right?
No, not at all. Right. I have some retreats in Italian and some retreats in English.
I
So
see. Something else I'm curious about, I'm imagining that with all of these different activities, with the Qigong and the meditation and this kind of learning environment, that the participants and you must become quite friendly and close over the period of your time together. Do you find that the people generally develop closer relationships, and does that continue on after the retreat?
there are students that met at my retreat like 12 years ago, and they are still very good friends, and we're still in touch. And we were in contact on Facebook, for instance. And I see that what they write to each other, with the sort of complicity and intimacy they have, they maybe one is living in the north of Italy, one is living in the south, or one is living in England, one is living in the Netherlands, and they meet. Oh, we have to go to Paris to see that exhibition or whatever. It's really nice to see how at the retreat very nice friendships are developing.
I always say that when you bring good people that are like minded together in a space where they can just relax and feel comfortable and take away a lot of the stresses of life, it just brings out the best of people and gives people the time and the space to connect on a deeper level than even you would with a work colleague that you see every single day. It's really something very special. That's what I've experienced on our tours for sure.
Right. But you have people that are sometimes very different one from the other. It's amazing how a teenager can develop a friendship with someone 60 years old,
Yes.
or a professional something can develop a friendship with someone that is in a totally different position. I think the beauty of this is that everyone comes for a passion and also for the desire of meet like-minded people. And sometimes they are really not like-minded. Sometimes they are really opposite, but they enjoy diversity also. They enjoy meeting each other. I really invite people to cooperate a lot. The entire retreat is based on cooperation. And it's not something mandatory. It's not that you must, but it's something that I invite people to be more, to help each other. And normally, when you study photography, very often you are invited to be very competitive. Let's see who is able to do this. He is the best. She is the best. And this is something I never ever do because I
Mm.
really want to have a very relaxed atmosphere and people to, as you said, to give their best and to forget about stress. In fact, there are people that return to my retreats many times, like 15 times, 16 times. And sometimes I offer retreats that they have different themes. And so it's not that I always do the same retreat, but it's nice for me to see that people I say, again, are you joining again? Are you signing up again? You become friends also with my students because it's nice to explore creativity in different ways. Yeah, yeah,
Mm. I absolutely love that. I really love that very much. Something definitely we've experienced on our group tours as well is that these incredible connections. And it's interesting that you talk about photography being so competitive. I'm not a photographer in any serious way at all, but our wonderful wildlife photographer, Jennifer Hadley, that joins us on our trips, she's a female wildlife photographer, and she has shared with me that it can be very, very competitive, and it's often a very male dominated field. And as a result, the collaboration and cooperation that, you know, would be very nice just doesn't happen in photography. So I'm really pleased that you're trying to nurture that, and definitely something that I think is rather unique in the photography space from what I can tell.
yeah, indeed, indeed. Because I experienced this competition in my everyday life with other photographers. I have lots of photographers that are friends, but when you talk about work, the environment is very competitive and it's a kind of difficult to stay out of that. But yeah, I've been in the business long enough also to do what I had to do, and that's it. So yeah, I started teaching because I thought, yeah, it would be nice to share what I never learned from someone else, but I had to learn on my own. And I thought, okay, let's see how it is. Let's see if I like it or not. And now I have to say that I really enjoy sharing what's important for me, things that other people are not sharing. And it makes me feel very happy. Actually, teaching makes me feel very happy for a number of reasons. And one is that I see friendships that are starting in my retreats. And also, I see maybe sometimes I receive emails from people that have been to my retreat years ago and they write to me how important it was for them and how much their life has changed because of the retreat. For most of people, it's quite a turning point, and this makes me very happy. It's a really nice thing to know that I put together something is that has such an impact on the life of people. Because if I
Mm.
can add something, one of the things that I love about my photography is that I can have an impact on a situation or on others people's life. Maybe a very small difference, but making a difference for me is important. I'm very grateful to people that are inspiring me. So I'm very happy if I can inspire someone else. And I have to say that for instance, when I work for magazines and they want me to, I don't know, do something about what's cool in New York now, or what is the last trend and I have to go and find out things. I very often I try to find out what's cool and oh, there is a vegan restaurant that is really cool, or there is an activity that is very good for the environment, and then I point out those things. This is cool. It's not doing something that is so fancy and funny, but at the end has bad consequences on the environment, for instance. And so this is the way I use my position of privilege to influence, not really to influence, but to make other people aware about certain possibilities. So I am subversive in a way.
I love it. I love it. Enzo, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I'm sure anyone who is listening to this podcast, whether they are a photographer or maybe they know a photographer, maybe they can forward this episode to a friend that is a photographer who might be interested in a photography portrait workshop retreat in Tuscany that is also vegan. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about where people can go to find out more information, learn about the incredible villa that you stay in, and how can people book and that kind of thing.
Sure. There's a website dedicated just to my retreats, and it's called photography-retreats, plural.com, photographyretreats.com. And there you find lots of pictures and lots of information about how the retreat is held. There is an early bird offer until August 11. So if you're willing to come, you can save quite a lot of money if you book in advance. If you have any doubt or if you want to know more, you can always write an email and either me or an assistant will answer your email and make sure that you know everything you need to know. But even the website, you will find lots of information and lots of images, so you can have an idea about what you're going to do.
And I believe you even have a digital download for learning more about portrait photography. Is that correct?
There is the possibility to download a free guide about portrait photography that I wrote. There are many information in that. It's quite complete. It gives you an idea about my approach and also about what some of my students say. You can find my work, their work, many tips in the guide. So you can start knowing a little bit my approach, and it's free.
Why not? Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the World Vegan Travel podcast. I so appreciate it. And I'm gonna come and knock on your door or hit you up for a coffee when we're next in Milan, which will be next year. I'll be thrilled to meet you in real life. That would be so lovely.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yes, I wait for you. No problem. Let me know in advance and then I organize something for you.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.